Hello? So it might be the shitty webcam microphone, but, oh, yeah, it definitely is. But, F it, we ball, am I right? Knew that this Dev Diary was coming. Okay, yeah, it cut out, yeah, I swear to God that this microphone is, like, definitely screwed up. Like, it's just not working anymore. To be, yes, I didn't realize it was going to be two parts or cover the whole world. So in that perspective, I'm, like, excited to see it. But as everybody knows, my position on TNO and Atlant Ropa, blah, 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 seeing it, like, that it's called coming of age really grinds my gears. It shows that the microphone is there for me. Like, it says that the microphone's showing up. It was earlier, but I'm pretty sure I fixed it. Is anyone else having that problem? Really? Okay, there you go, yeah. No, it's working now. Cool. So I only have like an hour and a half to read this. And if you guys haven't seen my latest video essay about video games being art, definitely check it out. It's kind of like a continuation of my sentiment from the Atlant Ropo is the Soul of the New Order video, but applied to like other video games that are really good examples of art. So if you are interested in that, definitely check it out. I talk about Deltarune, I talk about Zero Escape, and I talk about Doki Doki Literature Club. Okay, so let's start reading it. So first off, the title already angers me because this coming of age implies that like the old TNO was immature when that isn't the truth. Like, it was... I wanted to switch to my HD microphone. Hopefully it doesn't crap out, but it really angers me that this is the framing that they're doing already, because if it is what I think it means that they're like saying that old TNO is like immature, which I definitely disagree with, but regardless, let's just keep looking and see what's going on here. Been over a year since we first revealed the YIPPEE update for TNO, which is something we've been keeping under wraps for quite some time. We've been burning to talk to you about. Can't even begin to say what it meant for the team to see such excitement for a patch. We're so excited to deliver it to y'all later this year. Oh, what? Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's in a tornado now. Yeah, better mic jump scare. Okay, great. Well, I'm glad. But there have been times where it craps out and makes a big loud peak, so hopefully we're not okay. It doesn't happen. So there's similar excitement that I invite y'all to read about the full extent of this patch and what we have to offer for the rest of the mod going forward. I thought it would be best to hold back on teasers in public news so the team community could be assured of the progress of the patch. I understand the dry spell between our last teaser now will be frustrating for some, so I hope this diary will more than make up for what we have to show and announce. And yes, having two diaries and a bunch of HD pictures is definitely a way to introduce it. People have been talking to me about like something that may or may not have been released. I'm not giving any attention to that because it's like taking a cake out of an oven and then complaining that it wasn't cooked well enough. But this is what they are willing to show, and this is what I'm willing to actually critique, if I may be so bold. But thought it'd be best. The structure of this dev diary differ considerably from the original diary. I haven't read those. The full, I guess this is something important that I just do not have the time to read. So unfortunately. Full scope of this diary considers the changes you can look forward to seeing and playing inside and outside of America, as we'll be globe-trotting across the new continent from tag to tag, and what we've opted to brand as the first TNO2 update. Do you guys remember when TNO 2 is supposed to be 10 years of extra content that expanded on the original ideas of what these paths would have meant? And I always knew TNO 2 in its initial release would have been unattainable, because if you have like 20 Russian warlords and you're supposed to add 10 years of content to them and different outcomes based off of whether or not they win the West Russian war, like, it's just unfeasible, because it's like 20 tags and then like three paths per tag, right? That's impossible. But the idea behind it, the idea of going into the 80s with TNO was awesome, and now we don't get to see that, which sucks. And I'm glad it's 2.0, because then we can distinct it. I've always been calling TNO now modern TNO, so MTNO, but now I can say TNO 2.0 is the thing that I don't prefer compared to TNO 1.1 or whatever. But by the end of this diary, I hope that we've covered enough about what YIPPEE has in store for y'all. Is this actually how Americans talk, or are they amping it up to be like, look, this is the YIPPEE content? You know what I mean? Like, is this? Hey, I'm just. Whew. We haven't even gotten to the content yet, so to understand how excited we are to deliver it to you as players and a community at last. I see people talking here, but they're talking about things I haven't read in the diary yet, so there's always a pipe dream. To be fair, Panzer and Pacifica told the community to chill about it. Oh yeah, so was TNO 2 like a fan canon? Because I thought that devs were talking about it, but yeah, TNO 2, it was just a pipe dream idea for sure. So Canadian being mad, yeah, this is going to be interesting. The following portion of the developer diary will focus on the German Reich's editions from editions. Interesting wording. From 1962 to 1965, coming in YIPPEE. Wait, when does TNO starts in 1962, right? So just the first 3 years of Germany content. Anyway, Panzer was literally the head developer during the Europa days. Yeah. As the uncontested victor of the Second World War, Germany stood proudly as the master of Europe. With foreign influence broken within and outside Germany, Adolf Hitler was given the power to shape the future of his Reich in the 20th century. Under his command, the 1940s concluded the NSDAP with the N. There's writing mistakes, but that's fine. A new economic community has united the continent in a palace of steel and granite, crowning the new capital of the world. So they actually do have Germania still, even though it wouldn't be realistic because the marshes of Berlin wouldn't be able to prop up the structure. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad that we're keeping some things. And for their labors, what glories awaited Germany in the 1950s? Wild boars raided vacant houses, cranes and scaffolds rusted. The Volksgenossen looked up at the Volkshall with empty pockets and empty stomachs. Hitler blinked and he was 65. The Führer's arteries stiffened. The nation's economy stagnated. And their new nadir, Russia struck. Another Red Army marched into Arkhangelsk, Vladimir, and Yaroslavl, threatening to flood Europe. For a moment, the Reich heard a creaking underneath its feet, but the Wehrmacht stood firm. Panzers formed walls against the Russian flood, and as endless barrages of artillery fire and guarded missiles repelled the Bolsheviks back to the frozen wastes. Moscow held. Hitler was still the Führer. Germany was still unhappy. Okay. Germany could sense defeat. They saw a vision of the 1,000 Reich dead before it even turned 30. For the first time, they could imagine themselves defeated. M-. And it scared them. Does anybody know a writer that actually uses M-? Because I think that's only, like, whenever I see an M-, my AI alarm bells go off, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Today, with no, it was like an actual use of the, you know, I'm not about to accuse the TNO dev team of using AI, right? Like, it's not, that was just a tangent, don't worry about that. Today, with no frontiers left in the continent, Europe is governed by the same attitude that shaped its master. The Reich sees itself in a perpetual war with the other superpowers of the world. To the west, the United States of America, a mongrel state whose
To the east, the Empire of Japan, ungrateful allies of convenience whose inferiority complex burned their once strong relationship. Yet Germany refuses to kowtow to either, even at the Reich's lowest point. Neither America nor Japan would be meaningfully challenge their dominance. With the Reich revitalized and its worst years yet behind him, the position is all but solidified in its own mind. The Führer has grown older, stronger, and wiser. He shaped his country's journey towards his grand. I don't want to read. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Nazis bad. Okay, so let's look at this. So, God damn it, they removed Burgundy. God damn it. But here he is. Heinrich Himmler, commander of the Black Guard, Reichsfuhrer SS. He's doing a culture war. Okay. Blah blah blah. His plan for Volksgemeinschaft and to execute those who stand in this way. Alright. So there's no Burgundian global plans, there's no okay, rest in peace. Like they just kept, like, first it was like Burgundy could go into have Paris as its capital. Okay, and then it was like, okay, no, the extent that the Burgundian state is in the 1960s is as far as they'll go for 1970, and now it's just gone. Like this is already, like, the writing on the wall was already there a long time ago, right? And I'm not surprised by this. F in chat for one of the coolest narrative experiences that ever came to Hearts of Iron 4. Burgundy was so good they needed to remove it. Well, to be honest, like, I need to find a way to word this really delicately. It feels like, especially with the wording of the, like, coming of age thing, it's like people looked at what TNO made, and then they were like, look at how silly this is, look at Burgundy. And then to the people working on it, potentially they may have felt like the point of what they were making was going over their heads because of silly Burgundy, and that just irritated them and they had to get rid of it. But, like, there's no point speculating on why they would remove it. It's clear that they are taking a new direction, so let's talk about the new direction. Okay, so this line is the exclusion zone line that Germany said that French people weren't allowed to move back into, and them solidifying it as a actual state border is interesting. Switzerland still existing must be terrifying to be Swiss. And there's a guy who got complaining about Slovak borders. I think this might have actually changed it. And people might not like how the general government doesn't exist. Here's the thing about every Reichskommissariat, every general government that the Nazis ever made. It was never meant to be a separate colonial administration. It was just like, hey, you, make Poland, or make the territories that used to be called Poland a core German territory in 30 years, or whatever the, like, deadline was. And that was his jurisdiction to govern. And it was like, I don't want to talk about what this means, but, like, this is actually what they wanted to do. Like, and even with the Reichskommissariats of these Easts, eventually the idea was that they wouldn't be Reichskommissariats, they'd just be Genau, like actual states within this. It's like French Algeria then becoming a core part of Algeria, right? Like this makes sense. This is historically accurate. But is it TNO? Like, yeah, it's TNO 2.0 now. I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna die on the hill of general government when they were supposed to be like a speed bump for German content, right? Like, you know what I mean? This doesn't matter that much. Okay. So this seems like, like this, you guys definitely need to check this out for yourself if you're going to go into detail. I just know I have a time limit. So, I can tell that they're making gameplay things here, which is cool. So, like, there's dominance that can be increased and decreased through national spirits, and your focus tree or decisions would probably be able to get rid of them. So that's a good thing to do. And Sieg, European Economic Community. Why don't I just call it like a German word? Like why go there, right? Like, I don't know. Goebbels is back? Is Goebbels back, or is he Goebbels? Oh, fucking whatever. So Goring. What does this mean? So is it just a Goring faction? That's interesting. I guess it's accurate to his behavior. So this is like the carton house that was already coded in for Borman. It seems like these interaction logs are going to be... is this something that you can do? Because I think there was random generated stuff that happened too. Goebbels is alive. Okay. But he will die. Yes, yes. Goebbels is back. Great. Okay. Resistance activity lives in the heart of NSDP dominance, leads them in the political spectrum. So, yeah, I like the arrows, but why not just make it the arrows, right? Like the visual conflict here, like it's obviously red compared to this, but like from the basic symbols. But I guess yeah, I would piece of critique. Remove the swastika from the resistance and just make it the 3 arrows, because you're already having color-coded things here, and these are like people who want the right to exist. This doesn't want the right to exist, and it has a swastika on it. You know what I mean? Like, I get that this is supposed to be a reference to the slave revolt flag, which was basically just a vandalized Nazi flag with the 3 arrows, and I respect that. But if it's going to be just the resistance, it's like, the resistance is the 3 arrows, so have the resistance just be the 3 arrows, right? Right, so that's Germany. Alban turning, I don't know German, so Antifa, okay. RZ, Unbekannt. I wish I knew German to actually understand those words. So that's the starting situation. This is the intro tree. Okay. I heard that they don't land on the moon anymore, and that makes me frustrated, because that was like the biggest, like, oh shit, this is the tone that we're going for, but now it's like not supporting that. And it's like, yeah, fair enough, you don't want to be lionizing Nazism, I get that, but like, literally the guy who helped get Americans to the moon was a German rocket scientist who would have been employed in Germany for a very long time. Yeah. 20 years since the end of the war, 3 years, blah. Carton House is now available, issues of the day. So before it's not available? Okay. Interesting. The art is beautiful. This is really good stuff. The artists, the core aesthetic of TNO is really good. Yeah, I don't know if the TNO the moon landing teaser is here, but I think that they teased it recently. That like the positive side is that there's going to be a space race mechanic between the USA and Germany now, which is great, but I don't know, like it kind of sucks. Like here's like, if we had to have like a tier list of things that they changed for the better or worse, and like my feelings about it, I can understand why they wouldn't have Germany just land on the moon, because you have a gameplay element that you're deliberately shutting down for the sake of like what, just having a narrative statement. And it's like, hey, yeah, you can have a narrative statement, fine. But if you're not doing the narrative statement anymore, then you have the gameplay mechanic. But then the gameplay mechanic is like, I don't know, like, why not just make it a race to Mars, like Glenn did? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I don't care about it that much, and I can see why they did it, so I'm not that upset about it. But, like, I don't know. Like, I really appreciated the way that they did it in the past, so, Oh yeah, Japan having like a Japanese faction in trying to get to the moon. That's actually really cool. Like so, like it's like a sad, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. You know what I mean? Like that's good. But and then Burgundy being gone, it's like, okay, yeah, we already knew that Burgundy was gonna be gone because of how it was just slowly being eroded of its content and its land and its narrative significance. Like, that's fine. The thing that sucks is that there's no Hadric path, but I already knew there would be a Hadric path. I've had a year to, like, cope with that now. So, like, maybe they'll do something different with it. Germany is changing. That's fine. The space race is fine. I don't know. We'll see. The mods here are behaving. I don't know. I haven't really been reading chat, so hopefully they're behaving, Jaeger. Yeah, if Guangdong gets cut, I'll be so pissed off because that was actually like I actually haven't played it, so I can't say for sure. But the idea behind it, the narrative behind it, the everything about it seemed really interesting. So what would they like? What are you gonna replace it with? They're gonna remove Guangdong content, right? Like Guangdong content, it's supposed to only last for a little bit, and then it gets annexed into China again, right? It's a key narrative experience for the Chinese nation in their eventual struggle for independence against Japan. That's cool. Why would you get rid of that? I don't know. Like, we can get into a huge thing about that. Yeah, I've heard people really like the Guangdong content. So anyway, let's talk more about this. Now in the years 1962, how can Germany prove itself to be a world leader? Three superpowers arsenals. Feet and strength and athleticism, previously channeled martial impulses, connote state, national, and states, colonial conquest achieved, and the coldest of the frontiers that already been. Okay. What? So it's like, what they're saying here is like, what is Germany going to do now that they can't conquer land to fix their economy? I guess. 30 years of marriage. So this is probably really good writing. I'm looking forward to reading that when I eventually play it. And this is this the thing where we confirm that? No, okay. Martin Bormann. So Göring, Bormann, Himmler, and Speer. Okay. These are the successors. I love this information. So the reason why people think that Guangdong is going to be cut is because there was a TNO Chinese developer who was constantly talking about it in public channels that they want to remove it. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is or isn't going to be removed. And like always, you can only know for sure when they make an official announcement, right? So yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if they removed it. I think that, like, I remember learning about this a year ago. I think that Bormann is just as much of a reformer as Speer, but in different directions. Nachtigall. Adolf Hitler. Okay. Operation Nightingale. When it formed stabilization plan where they lost territory lost as a result of the mutiny and associated instructions to be regained by the German Reich, and the integrity of the Archangelsk-Astrakhan line as the eastern limit of our territory will be restored. Okay, so that you're actually going to invade Russia. Interesting. So, security on Russian borders below expectation. Okay. So, the inciting incident of TNO 2.0 is that Germany invades Russia. Yeah, well, I guess we'll get to that. Here's the new space lore. Rocketry, Rosa, Bron, man in orbit. So they're not even landing on the moon; they're putting a man in orbit first. Okay, manned orbit around the Earth. Take over the leader of the United States or the Empire of Japan. It's a major achievement. So, yeah, okay. TV stations across the patch broadcast the achievement. It's really good writing. I really appreciate the writing that they put into this. Now he's more captured by these images than Hitler. Great, good for him. Like for these writing, like I'm probably gonna do a TNO 2.0 Germany playthrough, and I'll read those myself. But we're trying to get an understanding of what the direction of this new content is, right? Wait, what? It excites him too much. What happens? Magda and Joseph sit together. Hitler standing by himself in a chair. Man orbit around the Earth. Having lived so long to see with their own eyes, two men centered. That showed the Americans. Now the Goebbels registered what Hitler said. He turned to them, waving a hand away. Another in his chest is nothing. Half smirk on his lips, manic in his eyes, pain clear on his face. Magda and Joseph turned to each other. He lurched forward, stumbling towards the television. He said to them his heart stopped. Okay. So, the space race causes him to have a heart attack? You know, fair enough. That happens, right? Germany is at only without content out of the four. It kind of makes sense that Goring is just like a grifter. So like, what kind of content would he have with him? That's why they made, at least my theory is that the reason why they made Goring the guy who does the conquest is that he's a grifter, and he has the support of the military, and it's actually Schroner's, like the general from Hell or whatever his name was, the infantry guy. It was actually his desire, and then he just grifts off of the grifter, right? So, but anyway, okay. So, like, Hitler's supposed to have a speech, but he had a heart attack, so he can't. Okay, cool. That makes sense. That's a good story. And then you have to pick your successor. Okay, that's good. This is good design. Okay. Hitler recovers from his heart attack. Plunge into chaos? I don't know about chaos, like, but whatever, I guess so. It's kind of like the cult of personality. It makes sense, I suppose. Bloody Ferdinand, yeah. Supremacy in Russia's second defeat is shattered. What? I need to read this. An economy previously thought to be shielded starts to fracture? Why? Is it because maybe I missed something? Protests in the streets erupt as years of simmering tension boil over. Fair enough, if he's starting to not be alive. Certain supremacy found in Russia's second defeat is shattered. Don't know why. Is it because Hitler's gone? Maybe. And it's been shattered from within. Okay. Further pacification in Moscovian are stalled. Baltic terrorists, Ukrainian communists, Polish insurgents poke and prod their jailers, seeing if Hitler's death exposed cracks in their walls. Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense. And then there's like a big power struggle between all three. Okay, so this is the Himmler tree. Arbitrator. My Führer. Hold on. Yes, Heinrich. Take over the Reichstag elections of the 62nd Congress. Hitler might take the words to crack moment. The old SS watchman. Okay. Okay, so this, and then this is this the path for specifically Himmler? Because I'd imagine that they would have a bunch of different things here for each successor. Like, this is the one you would actually do it. Again, art is beautiful. This is really good stuff. Who do you think he... What? Largest parliament, Miracle Man. olive branch question. Not days in November. Okay. Like a lot of this is like I don't know. Like a lot of this is just me appreciating the art and trying to understand the general vision. I want to see how it plays out because you can only understand how well it plays out when you're actually playing it. But the concept here seems interesting. Is there there will definitely not be an Agarthan path because of the way that they're approaching this. Like if the TNO Developer Diary is called Coming of Age, you know what I mean? Like whatever. Hitler arrests Martin Bormann and his allies in the party, binding the state to its will. Himmler rallies the SS. Okay, aristocratic SS. Okay. Visionary architect and minister Albert Speer reaches the disaffected, promising a new, more favorable. Yeah, because that's what he would do with the way that he even wrote his book. And then Goring positioning himself as a great man above over the petty politicking. Yeah, fair enough. Wait, let's not look at this. So, Camp Visite. The second Camp Visite? First of all, something I really like about TNO 2.0, it's like the way that they have the visuals made, the situations and stuff is good. The aesthetics are good. Hitler Zeet. What does Zeet mean? Wait, 1 minute silence from the removed Burgundy. Yeah, rest in peace, Burgundy. Second Camp Seat is an attempt to find the answer to the questions that have been haunting the country for decades. It's also the crisis that consumes and paralyzes it. When Hitler finally dies, one man will emerge to take control. The answers he provides are not yet defined and dashed. Some are yet to be reviewed, others are yet to be revealed, but the release of YIPPEE! We offer a glimpse into the new Greater German Reich ahead of the victor in the Judge Patch. We offer a glimpse into the new Greater German Reich ahead of the victor in the Judge Patch. While the additional German content stated for YIPPEE predominantly focus upon the new starting situation, all existing paths are preserved beyond the Kampfsieg, with facelists where necessary to preserve a seamless narrative. That isn't to say, of course, you may only experience the immediate aftermath of Kampfsieg as just Bormann despair. That isn't okay. So what they're saying is that YIPPEE is not going to have the Germany content overhauled, but they are going to remove Burgundy. They're going to have the initial starting situation, and then the old content of Reformer Speer, Conservative Bormann, Reformer Bormann, those are going to stay. There's no Goring, but there is a Himmler tree. The first months of Führer, Himmler. I imagine this is going to be like a civil war, like immediate fail state, but alright, yeah, fair enough. Okay. Let's look at Russia now. Great. Oh no. What are the... Hold on. I'm scared. I'm scared. Did they remove Warlord Russia? Okay. I'll see. Russia today is not only dead, merely shattered, asleep, its inhabitants are consumed to fitful thoughts, blah blah blah. 34 successors, okay. The would-be Russias, okay. The nightmare past generation weighs like a nightmare upon the living, and through all Russians seek to avenge themselves and do so. Yeah. Mechanics now coming in YIPPEE represent these struggles. Heart of the state. Russia lies broken beyond repair. Shattered by a foreign invasion, the largest nation Earth is overwhelmed to chaos, attempting to unify it in a faithful day. We must prove to the world, and far more importantly our own people, that we're the real, genuine government of Russia. By maintaining our political integration, institutional strength, control, and ideological adherence. So this is a mechanic for every state? This is a mechanic for every state, really. Okay. The German horde raising the motherland to the ground, Russia finds herself in a backward state compared to the rest of the world. And to reverse this trend, we've started to tend to our lands. Okay, cool. So this is the way that you develop the world. Cool. After the Russia War, bloodied the collaborateurs and occupied Muscovy. Sorry, Die Walk Am Rhine just goes so hard. Some along the AA line, Nightingale. Okay. So, border tensions with the Russian anarchy. Gorky has brave Gorky tankers. Okay. So they fight the RK. Well, I'm reading, man. Don't spoil it. The Reich woke in a panic from nuclear tests in occupied Baron in the Arctic. Okay. So they didn't. Okay, so they're testing the nuke because they're not sure how it works. The tyrant stifled them, so he decided that the nightmare had to be banished one another. Conventional militaries were unable to contain Russia. They repel them with concussive force. And they just nuke Gorky. Okay. Germany strikes at Russia with an atomic bomb. Okay. Launched border skirmish with the German garrisons in Moscow. The first attempt at deterrence, a H-bomb test having failed. Like, how would they have known that? It's a, okay, yeah, it's like, yeah, whatever, propaganda, who cares? Like, it's not the internet. Like, they don't have access to, like, what happened in another area of the world. A little bit of critique there doesn't matter that much. They easily just brushed off as propaganda. And then, Thulaffen, hi Thul, huh? Agartha, blah, blah, blah. With the first attempt at deterrence failed, Hitler opted to launch 2 nuclear air bursts within a yield of 15 kilotons, targeting the city center and the tank factory respectively. The nuclear taboo broken in this matter, denunciations and economic retaliation. Economic retaliation from who? If Germany's not trading with America and the rest of the European economic community are... I just don't get this. Like, I thought Germany would... What? The Hawaii nuke is removed in YIPPEE lore. Yeah, but then how did Japan get Hawaii? Or let me guess, they didn't. Who knows? We'll see, I guess. Yeah, world's first use of nuclear weapons in combat. Yeah, there it is. There's the confirmation. As they fled, world learned something new. For all its destructive might, nuclear weapons are no longer fantastical and impossible to deceive horror. It was real practical. Okay. They dared to imagine they might prepare against this threat. Find a flaw. Tunes. Okay. Good narrative, I guess. Is already shown before, yeah. They dared to imagine. Okay. But enough of dreams. On the other side of Russia, a would-be tyrant turns to the west. News of Gorky's destruction makes its way through the Russian anarchy. Radio broadcasts ensure all of Russia knows Germany's latest crime. Yeah. The Far East temporarily ceases its petty feuds and resource wars to condemn Germany's horrors. The Allies turn into one of the lords, bearing the symbols of their hated foe, wondering what their reaction will be. That's a really good question. This is what the all-Russian government says. What Germany did is inconsolable, and when we unite Russia, will drive the Teutons out of Muscovy, but we must abandon their symbols or beliefs. You don't need to like or respect Germany, you need to do what they do better. Okay. While the mechanics of the warlords to be applied, we've reviewed some of those we feel due to extra work. One and more. Early game content is strong, but we feel the late game potential is yet to be realized. Okay. With release of YIPPEE, not only will every warlord receive updated mechanics, but Almar should receive unique mechanics and expanded focus tree and narrative for their super regional stage. That's promising. But I'm guessing this also means that they get rid of West Alaska, which, of course. For Constantine, True Heir of Arben, seems similar. Alphabet of Fascism. Your rhetoric is low. The monthly increase of fascist acceptance. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Good gameplay explanation there, right? Like, you need to do this for this to get this path. Yeah, that's good. That's good game design. Fast forward a few years under Roosevelsky's guiding hand, immersing victory after 13, finding both the Far East and Central Siberia. Russian national states emerges as a meaningful contender for Russian unification, but a mechanical expansion comes with additional narrative. He must grapple with what he wants and can achieve. He's one more away from serving blah blah blah. His love of German fascism has ignited terror attacks in the dam and protests in Central Siberia. Every day, crowds grow seeking to challenge all that he's built. The backers shuffle in the shadows, blah blah blah. They would support his government if he were a little less outlandish. He swaps the swastika for an eagle and the brown shirt for a suit, but he doesn't want to change. I don't know if this is entirely accurate to his character, but who cares? He's a fascist. His vision was strong enough. He'll prove that he has the power to... Okay. Cool. So this is the super regional tree. The thing about these focuses, you can't really glean anything from them because they're very narrative, right? The obsession. The world awaits. Why would you need to send a diplomat to a communist? There's a communist state? The partisans. Okay. There's 6 groups we need to appeal to. The United States, primary anti-German force. The Empire of Japan is, if we can look past their Vladivostok. What? That's crazy. Minor nations we reached out to, but we have the collaborators, partisans, and exiles. So I guess the partisans, these partisans are the people who are in Moscow who are trying to revolt, and the collaborators is okay. You can still have your position, but you need to not be a part of Germany. I guess that makes sense. Hold on, gotta check something here. Oops. Accidentally open Premiere. Give me a second. Okay. Empower Zaibatsu. Okay. This is an interesting thing. The U.S. lore in YIPPEE pieces out due to the imminent collapse of the British Empire and low morale at home, so Japan doesn't lose but gets central victory. But do they give up Hawaii? Do they give up Hawaii because they just gave up? Okay. This is a taste of our future plans of the Russian anarchy. With the recent mechanical overhaul, we've set a foundation, and time will turn to other warlords. It's a story of dreams and nightmares. Alyssa's nation is haunted by unresolved past and futures that never arrived. Though many pursue the idea of awakening the sleeping giant, not every Russia story will be happy. It may fall in the same fashion as enemies as it can with Amur. It may be so consumed by desires of revenge that it takes the world with it. Yeah, so Omsk still exists. It may lose itself in false nostalgia, clinging to memories of people and places that never existed. Okay. So I'm getting confused. Does the USA have Hawaii or not? We'll see, I guess, because we're actually getting into what caused my big video in the first place. I still really don't like this name. Okay, Deprolez-vous. Explosion of African self-determination and political power of the 60s and 70s is a Cold War thing. US, Germany, Japan can compete for a more dynamic and complex world. That I can understand that appeal. Having it not just be all under Germany and then revolt. it makes sense. Like there'd be more opportunities for different factions, but that is interesting. Like that is an interesting benefit. I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt at this point, but it still sucks that Atlanta proposed, but whatever. So this is like France trying to keep its colonies. Okay, West African crisis coming in YIPPEE. Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic. In this crisis, Germany, France's position is not all lost. Their exit from much of West Africa is, in their view, a temporary withdrawal from France's rightful colonial holdings, a tactical retreat. The wheel of fortune turns and turns, and the hungry imperialist looks greedily for an opportunity to reclaim territories for exploitation and senseless national glory. Further south is the Congo, a country with a complicated relationship with the American Empire. A founding member of the OFN and an active participant of the Alliance. Okay. And American capitalists have a bunch of debt. The Congo is undeniably an American satellite state, right? And America's influence over it is integral to its content. Okay. As reform from the one post-racial republic comes to a head, a coup and counter-revolution participate in evolving crisis in the Congo, one that the United States actively seeks to shape and control. It's an interesting move to have America be the exploiter of Congolese resources. And I'm not really sure what the precedent for this geographical thing is. If the lore really is that the USA just gave up after the British Empire collapsed, but they didn't really collapse if they still have their colonies in Africa. What? Antler Europa is just gone. Like it's 100% gone. There's like no Antler Europa, all vanished. The Congo River Dam all gone. It's gone. Antler Europa is dead. Effing chat. I just don't get this lore. Like clearly there's something I'm missing, but what is the point of it being that America somehow has influence over the Congo? Britain. Okay, so there's no sea lion, I guess. There's no sea lion, which is why the British Empire. But then, so Canada would then be a part of the German sphere. Okay, India collapsed and Britain was about to surrender. Okay. But what happened? So then, Canada is a member of the British Empire and therefore a member of the German order. Like, what's the Canada lore then? There is a sea lion. So then does America occupy Canada? And then in the peace deal, they're like, Canada is integral to our national security? Like, whatever. There's a Congo crisis. Let's look at the content. Federalists. Okay. Republic of the Congo. United States of America is a participant. Okay. And then I don't know anything about Africa, so I can't. What the hell is this? There's a little bit of the Republic of Congo in the state of Katanga. Is that Elizabethville? Sud Kasai. Okay, interesting. Read DV in the YIPPEE Diary. Well, I'm reading the YIPPEE Diary right now. Or are you talking about the original YIPPEE Diary? Because I might have time to do that, but we'll see. I'm reading the chat now. So there's still a sea lion. Congo had a Belgian government in exile, but that wouldn't have lasted. The sea lion happened. Belgians, because of risking rebellions. Yeah. Read the Bolivian YIPPEE Diary. Canada stops listening to Britain, and the Americans back them up, so Germany can't do anything. Okay. They just stop. How? Canada doesn't recognize the government the Germans set up in London. Okay, that makes sense. So then but then where's the king? Like, where did the old king go? Is the old king in exile in Canada, or did the old king get like put in arrest or something? Edward's on the throne in Great Britain, and then Canada is like a monarchy and an internal regency. Like okay, it doesn't matter that much. Following Pound the Congo is an environmental section of the crisis, ultimately a small part of it. Africa teams working diligently behind the scenes. We avoid speaking too publicly. Okay. TV looking at Britain's colonial wars in East Africa. Kenyan February offensive. Okay. Because of Her Majesty's most loyal resistance, so to speak. Okay. United States of America. This is the America and Yippee. You finally got here. Okay. Kefauer Memorandum. Creation of 2 new space administrations. One's NASA. Okay. The second was expansion of the U.S. Air Force Air Research and Development Command. Later, the Space Systems Command. NASA and the SEC have a shared purpose in advancing American spaceflight, which is a close collaboration with the agency staff. And it's the only space race to the 3 powers to success of the satellite, blah, blah, blah. 7 chosen scientists' hope, engineers' ambitions, public fiction, new American heroes, clad in silver suits. The sky was not the limit. What the United States could achieve in the battlefield, blah, blah. It's possible for Germany to spark nuclear missiles in orbit over New York or Japan to send all powered kill vehicles to pepper Los Angeles with radiation. There's space and spy. Okay. Space is just the 4th front of modern war, and fate rests on Washington to seize that territory for the United States of America, just as Germania seeks to take that territory for Greater Germany, and Tokyo seeks it for Japan. For now, the only place beyond the atmosphere of the superpowers can hardly planet is their planet is the moon. With the Stars and Stripes, the rising sun. Isn't it would be ironic that the rising sun flag is on the moon? That's kind of funny. Is that to you, the player? Yay, player agency. Love that. The stakes of losing the moonshot are high and entirely political. Nothing is on the moon today that wasn't there a decade ago beyond a few probes, but letting the other side get there first is damaging to the national pride and legitimacy of the superpowers ideology. NPP is removed. Yeah, I have a lot to say about that. Or the stars and strength. Whether should you invest sufficiently and carefully, you might be first. A lack of care could leave you first, but stranded on the lunar surface. You've. Oh God. Ow. Man walks on moon. Okay. Interesting. What was on my recommendeds here? Interesting. No idea what any of those are. That's the first Dev Diary. Turning for the President's YIPPEE of America has 4 competing for new visions of America's future, setting the safe and status code that incumbent President Nixon. Yeah, sorry about that. I wasn't expecting it to be a YouTube video. Each of these men possess their own ideas and own dreams and ambitions. We now invite you to join us as we delve further into the mechanics of the cabinet, the many ways that they steer the country, own party in the world. Barry Goldwater. Okay. Goldwater's back. Goldwater nukes Haiti, doesn't he? Is that something that they do now? The New Deal consensus that created the nanny state is displaced with Daddy and his belt. What the fuck? What? What the fuck is this sentence? Sorry for my language. His presidency is one predicated beating back the political establishment. He's a man of common sense, seeking a government that's run like a household with a New Deal consensus that created the nanny state is displaced with Daddy and his belt. Oh my God. Jesus. Okay. He seeks to assert his authority and return America to an age of unvarnished capitalism. M dash. No matter how unpopular that may prove to be. Okay. Margaret Chase Smith, Republican. Wasn't she like a extremist? Was he actually an extremist? I don't know much about Goldwater. Okay, Republican. Okay, I need to look it up. Who is Barry Goldwater? Barry Goldwater. American. He was a Republican. Okay. But was he a Republican? Like, what happened? What was the Great Party Shift? Because this is important stuff for me. Great Party Shift. Great Party Shift refers to the gradual ideological democratic the civil rights era, Democratic president desegregated the military. And then the Southern Democrats were alienated from the Democratic Party. The Republican capitalized on the alienation by adopting the Southern strategy, by emphasizing states' rights. Okay, so it's because of the Truman administration. Well, among other things. Leader of conservative Republicans ran for a 64 election. He was libertarian-esque. They call it coming of age, and they have that whack-ass sentence. Yeah, like, there's something really interesting about... Like, I don't want to delve too much. I'm not a psychoanalyst, but there's the whole, like... I don't know if this is a shared trauma between, like, me and other people. But have you ever had it where, like, as a child, you don't like the dinner that mommy or daddy made for you, and then because you're an emotionally immature child, you have a fit, and then your parents, or especially the person who made it, then get angry at you for not respecting the fact that they even made the dinner? I feel like that is the entire dynamic about TNO, the developers making something, somebody saying they don't like it, and then reacting that way. It's just like a repeating. Like it's like a loop of trauma that keeps happening over and over. And then you have things like calling this Dev Diary coming of age, and then you have Barry Goldwater having daddy in his belt. Like, this sentence makes sense for this nanny state because that's an actual term. This is it's a profound sentence. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is really good writing, but there is potentially a subtext, what would the word be? A subconscious influence over this. So Barry Goldwater is dad, and dad beats you, I guess. Bad dad. What if, okay, Herbert Humphrey, who is a Democrat, dynastic liberalism. Okay. Democratic liberal. Okay. The nation of Humphrey resumes return to form of the resumption of Democratic Popular Front governance. Okay, I really need to read the old YIPPEE diary, because how could it be that Nixon leads, he has the Democratic Party, he somehow got elected in the first place, and then liberals take back the Democratic Party after, like, that probably happened in real life, but, like, what is that? It just seems a little weird. Reformists face on the time-old democratic machine, bringing a technocratic approach to American liberal corporatism. What the fuck is this sentence? Bringing a technocratic approach to American liberal corporatism? I think, do you mean like corporatocracy? Because corporatism is not a liberal thing. Like liberal corporatism is like an oxymoron in my mind, but it's not if you're a socialist and you think that liberals who like corporations means that they're fascists. But so there's two different things here, right? Corporatism. If it's corporatocracy, American liberal corporatocracy, if that's the sentence, then it's like the corporations that run the country because they are wealthy and have influence is not good. This Democrat is bringing a technocratic approach, which is like, it's basically the same as FDR, but more technocratic, I guess. Interesting. Okay, what the heck? Emphasizes national planning, a robust regulatory state, labor power, and a fluid approach to Jim Crow. National planning, robust regulatory state. That's corporatism. What? Is that not corporatism? Like what? Like, okay. All you need to do is just change this word to corporatocracy and everything's fine. But corporatism is not just a fascist thing. Liberals can definitely be corporationism as a class, is in class collaborationism. Yes, it is corporatism. Well, what the hell? Like, I feel like there's a lot of confusion going on here right now. Man, go ahead, doesn't quite literally mean Nixon into Trump. Corporatism is left-leaning as well. Corporatism is radically different from socialism because it seeks to promote class collaboration, in contrast to Marxism, and with liberalism, since corporationism is the rule of few oligarchs, instead it's a free bourgeoisie. It makes no sense. Yeah. Corporatism, as in all the classes work together in harmony, but instead of it being fascist, is liberal now. We're looking it up. The control of a state organization by large interest groups. I don't know if that's actually correct. Political system represented policymaking where corporate groups such as agricultural, labor, military, business, or guild associations come together and negotiate contracts or policy collective bargaining on the basis of common interests. The term is derived from the Latin corpus, or body. It does not refer to a political system dominated by large business interests, even though the latter are common referred to as corporations in modern American vernacular. Instead, the correct term for theoretical system would be corporatocracy. I'm pretty sure that this is the word that they're trying to use. Like, Humphrey's the establishment guy with RFK as an activist guy is bothering me so much. RFK was born into a political dynasty while Humphrey was a fiery liberal. It makes no sense. Okay, who the hell is Herbert Humphrey then? The vice president, who is his... Okay, no, I don't want to see Vance. Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay. Born in... Wait, yeah, so, wait. And then Nixon was... I don't know enough about American politics and American political history to really make too much of a comment here. But, like, yeah, so I'll explain. I need to find the old YIPPEE diary, so I need to look at that. Hold on. TNO YIPPEE. Here. 4 parts. Oh my god. Do I really have the time for this? Probably not. But I'm going to close this stuff and open this. Oops. Womp womp. 12 normal candidates to HK. YIPPEE will bring 30 normal candidates, 10 HK. That's a lot. Suggest those who are interested in gameplay pay mind to the lower portion of the speech. I'd like part 2. Dewey. Hopkins versus Dewey. It's good that they had the history in the game. That's cool. Robert Taft. Democrats nominated the 44. So like they're basically just setting it up so that America is defeatist. Okay. Dewey's mission in Alaska, Hawaii, blah. Then it was Eisenhower. Eisenhower. So why would they? What? Whatever. Like, do I really care that much? Oh no. Okay, here it is. Here's our answer. American corporatism. And I'm like an expert at this because I really studied the American business plot. So I know what this is. So I'm gonna read the context here. So Eisenhower got a vote, that's great. Eisenhower proud more like George Washington, exceeding dignity and purpose for humility and lost nation. Ike held power to reshape the United States of America with the sweep of his hand, and indeed many Democratic partisans fantasized that he would practically erase the sting of failure from overwhelming force. Ignore the reality, Eisenhower never promised or intended the sort of sweeping change that his most fervent supporters imagined. Liberals around the country watched in horror as the general sat on his hands, only rolling back Dewey's policy in the casings. Okay. The greatest political mandate of generations bestowed upon a man who had no interest in using it, and as such, the Democratic project idled with the world in its hands. Despite this, the late Democratic project under the Dewey administration had given considerable damage to the excesses of capitalism and furnished the United States with a more technocratic, corporatized economy that retained much of the war-era economic mobilization, now geared towards a civilian economy. Gone were the days of the Great Depressions, as Democrats used planning to keep the ship sailing no matter the storm. Okay. While some may have expected the American economy to revert back to a more free market style of capitalism, the United States of America has become hardened to the realities of the Great Depression and the Second World War. Throughout the American economy, the once combative relationship between labor and capital has been forged into something new. American corporatism, founded from the New Deal's State Planning Board, has since evolved to found its place across the land. The vested interests of capital or labor will no longer dominate over another. The United States government now works as a referee on all sides, mediating and holding back any strife between the two. While economic planning and interference were formerly taboo, they're now deemed necessary, a duty in the face of competition between superpowers. This is so not American. like what the I get it. The lore makes sense. The direction is there. The precedent, the everything. I get it. My own politics, I guess, don't like this. Okay. But like, so what is it then? So you have, what was the first part? So you have the Democratic dominance. I said Dewey showed up. Dewey's a Republican, but was Dewey pro New Deal? He wasn't, was he? Was Dewey New Deal? I should know this. President a progressive conservative, he led the moderate faction of the Republican Party, which should be blah, blah, blah. The New Deal reforms after the administration of FDR and communism in the Soviet Union. So this makes sense then. So you have the way that they set this up does make sense then. So we have Hopkins, Dewey beating Hopkins. Dewey wants more New Deal. Then Dewey wins again. Oh, the One Piece TNO is real. Eisenhower wins, but how is it that much? But whatever. Hey, Paulina, please stop spamming chat. Eisenhower's inauguration, both records of both sides. So yeah, we already read this. But because he did nothing to change things, then the American corporatism stayed. The differences between the Republicans and Democrats were not as clear-cut as they are now. Dewey does not want more New Deal. He does not want to roll it back. I guess. Wait, okay. Big five corporations. Instead of finding his metal tested in tropical Hawaii, tensions between the dominant big five. America has Hawaii still. Oh my god. Ugh. Compared that crushing the corporations is shattering instead of the tighter seated multi-pronged attack of the big five through. What the fuck? Eisenhower government, unlike the Roosevelt era, opted to preserve corporations and re-establish control over their passively to leave liberals fuming as the president ignored their cause celebre from their party. Eisenhower came in to field civil rights, New Deal funding, and state building transformed southern states from one-party Herrenvolk democracies into domestic fascist. What? The final straw for Democratic liberals' toleration of Eisenhower came in the field of civil rights. New Deal funding and state building had transformed southern states from one-party Herrenvolk democracies, because that sentence makes sense if you're restricting votes through Jim Crow. It's a Herrenvolk democracy, and they keep their party into domestic fascist republics with the racial order upheld by state-funded paramilitaries. Is that actually what happened in the civil rights era? Only to the government. The rule did not apply here. Only interest in those in power. Disappearance were common. Okay. Organized black activists brought the cases of lynchings and racial violence to a national stage, but it seldom became a national issue. Mango thinks both Democrats and Republicans are fascists. And, okay, that's... Is that what's in the diary here? I don't know. So anyway, the really confusing sentence, American liberal corporatism, that actually do mean corporationism. They actually do mean corporatism. That's the takeaway. They actually do mean corporatism. So now we can actually finish reading this diary here. What if Richard Nixon's anomaly and the American people had really fallen into a democratic liberal consensus? And I need to understand this. So Ike is a collaborator. Kennedy, yay. Barnett, what is this? Brown. That looks like fascismo or Democratic liberals. Not Democratic liberals. Dixiecrats. Electors handed the results of the 1960 to the House of Representatives for their delegation to decide, facing an intransigent Democratic Assembly. They held Hawaii. Oh my god. Committed to civil rights, and a Republican had no firm. What? Oh, Nixon is a Republican, okay. The House handed Nixon the presidency, while the Democratic majority Senate re-elected Kennedy as vice president. A regime neither Democratic nor Republican, unsatisfying to his core, something different. Gray is States' Rights Party. Okay. So, Richard Nixon was a Republican. Really fallen into a Democratic liberal consensus. That's what happens when Humphrey is elected. A departure from Hubert Humphrey's commitment to bringing about top-down reform in American society. So he wants to do more reform. So he's using the American liberal corporatism to then go into national planning, a robust regulatory state, labor power, and a fluid approach to Jim Crow, entrenched with the majority chauvinism across the country. So this is another America is le bad, fascismo, like it's going from corporatism to technocracy, which technocracy is state authority. Like, what is this? Like, I don't really want to like show my own political whatever here, but like Sesmex is pointing out that this may be due to IRL political issues then seeping into the way that they frame American society by then making the Republicans and the Democrats both equally fascisty by having a corporatism that was already established and solidified beforehand. So you've already set up the straw man, right? If we take that perspective of this being a straw man, they already set up the straw man with the lore, and the straw man is New Deal never went away, and American fascism is a thing. This is what's happening in Talons in Twilight. Lindbergh is like, let's get the New Deal and let's make it like corporatism, just like our allies of the fascist Italians. Like, this isn't something that is faux pas. I do this too in my own story, right? It feels weird. You know, it feels weird. I don't know. It's good to depict both sides as they are, but it's made kind of strange here. So the benefit of what the NPP was that while it was a huge blanket party that was basically everything against the establishment, the Republicans and the Democrats, who are basically the uniparty, and they became a uniparty because they reunited to become the Republican Democratic Party, that dynamic in TNO actually made sense. But in this dynamic, you would actually see, I like, why would it be that this sort of corporatism would be tolerated for so long? I just can't I can't fathom this. Like, why is there no third faction that isn't a fascist, like the states' rights or whatever? Like, what is this? What? Okay. America is very fascistic because there's a continuation and entrenchment in the New Dealism, which is corporatism, and fascism is corporatism on a fully state level. It's not that complicated. I understand that. I fully understand that. What I'm wondering is, why hasn't there been, in the lore as they established, a third faction that isn't Republican or Democrat that is trying to use, like, this seems like the biggest W for anti-establishment, like Goldwater. Like, I don't know. I understand how the American liberal corporatism now established, because I understand the YIPPEE lore. I just don't like the YIPPEE lore, and I'm wondering why they did this. Is where my headache is coming from. Humphrey coalition is wide. It ranges from the left fringe of labor, Communist Party USA participants, to the petty democratic despotisms of the Solid South, and many in between. Balancing such varied and often conflicting voices requires a sort of consensus managed by the president. Let the Popular Front fracture and divide Humphrey's agenda of a legislative majority. In this position, the president must forge a path to fulfilling his liberalism, deciding his priorities, which he sacrifices to pass for the American Crusade into law. Silly. Southern Democrats. So Wallace is a Democrat. He's not a states' right. There, George Wallace. I know that he's actually, like, this is actually a trap path, I can say for sure, because I heard rumors. But this worked across the country for 100 years, one that failed to be mended with the withdrawal of the northern occupiers from what they called the rebel states. Southern intransgressance has defined many of its country's problems, and yet at the same time, it was only through the South that Roosevelt was able to forge his modern nation. By lavishing programs onto the region and honors onto its leaders, Roosevelt helped to ensure its permanent place in the Democratic coalition. Is that real? Like, is that real history? Like, I need to look into that. But what was all that worth anyways? What loyalty does Jim Crow owe to democratic pretensions of progress? The candidacy of George Wallace is built in the cradle of the South, but its appeal is broader than that. It fuels itself in the rage of white men and women who want wealth and welfare with no social obligations. Oh. It's like, that's actually what George Wallace was, from what I understand. So, it's sustained by I see boys already. It's sustained by a desire not merely to preserve what existed in the South long before the blood-stained banner, but to help the good old boys nationwide whose feel threatened by new forms of politics in Los Angeles, Chicago, and DC itself. President George Wallace has learned to win over the men in the best way possible, by mimicry. He's a channel of the grievances, a reservoir for their rage. He speaks... He speaks in the language of both the paranoid white Union man and the hysterical parent. He comforts them with dark visions that they've told themselves. The cries of the oppressors only signs of bubbling anarchy. That these forces must be defeated not only in the South but everywhere. This can only be done when America stops trying to change the South but accepts it for what it is. Wallace is a Democrat until his death. He endorsed every Democratic candidate. Okay, interesting. So the States' Rights Party was like even more racist to him. I guess he was like that's just not, it's just ignore it. But when the States' Rights Party was like, okay, interesting. I saw a Reddit post that this might be a Deltarune reference with riding in my truck right after a beer. Hey, that bump is shaped like a deer. DUI, how about you die? Go 1,000 miles an hour. Yeah, it's like I don't know if it's actually that. It's just a donkey there. What is this? Okay. It's the American political... Okay. The South built this country from its founding fathers in Virginia to the coalition that Roosevelt raised an empire from. Yet, what have they received in return? Constant bashing of the way of life and liberals slobbering at the bits to return some extra legal occupation. This disrespect is never to end. It's never to come from the one who's afraid to stand it at all. Okay. Wallace is a wacky. That's fine. Wallace claimed to repent from racism after the 70s. Yeah. It is a Deltarune reference? Okay, cool. While Humphrey is viewed as the smart pick for party loyalists, the only man who could ever steal their hearts would be that of a Kennedy. The Senator Robert Kennedy in 1964 is not inspired by personal tragedy, or particularly motivated to launch a crusade to the opponent. She just wants to get even. Okay, so that's a difference. That's definitely different from what old America was. Old TNO America. The rank of file were relying to support his brother John can smell the stench coming from Washington, the hunted by the visions of a man who lead his health problems, M-, probably due to a promotion for taking out the agent in charge, the would-be savior. This gives the spoiled Robert Kennedy an aura of conspiracy to his campaign. It's not a fair world, and President Kennedy's job is to write it. Yes, there'll be traditional favors for labor and the support of social movements that launched him to the White House, but the establishment that works with them and other ostensible Democratic allies have a target on their back. This obsession to clean house doesn't end at the Democrats' homestead. The permanent institution of J. Edgar Hoover himself may come under fire. Inquisitor. That's a cool name for it then. A church requires more than a congregation instead of hymns. It needs bureaucracy that can maintain the grounds of evangelists that can spread the faith, and an inquisition that can root out heresy. These are the tasks set before Robert F. Kennedy. While sermonizing is not enough, the many tendrils of the Holy Church must work from the shadows to fill the gaps. So you have to, I guess, select the problems here. The most pressing enemy to our very freedoms is not Germany and Japanese, but the division espoused by these hedonistic bums. Okay. American eminence. What's the upper bound for Talon's episode 2? I have so many things I need to do, but I probably will find a way to lower the scope of episode 2 of Talons to get it out sooner. I was trying to get everything be in-game visuals, but that just won't happen. So it's gonna probably go hybrid, QBAM and Hoi4 visuals. He's got a change of heart after getting shot and paralyzed from the waist down. Wait, this guy was shot and paralyzed the waist down in lore. Interesting. One thing I don't like is the pie chart is just a 33, 33, 33 split. Yeah. 1964 presidents. With President Nixon stepping back after serving his full 2-term, with either Nixon stepping back, the incumbent having to fight their way to re-election, or some other freak accident throwing out his trail off course, 1968 may have seen each party take a radical new direction across 5 fresh faces. The Republican front, the ideological feud that on the surface face-off between the governors Nelson Rockefeller of New York and Ronald Reagan, the actor of California. Afraid as ever, the Democratic identity crisis continues, the field consisting of no men of great stature. The Senate backbench establishment prick Philip Hart in Michigan is a loyalist favorite, though his care for decorum leaves him easily upstaged by his opponents. The bomb-throwing mayor of Los Angeles. What? Sam Yorty, okay, and California's congressional grizzly bear, Philip Burton. I really don't know that much about American... I don't know that much about American politics to really say. The estate sale. What? Just... The mini game is that you're selling... What is this? Government is a form of art, and there's a chance to put them in the money. Its job is the Rockefeller administration to steward for the people. A little help outside now and then. It's kind of reward. Some deals, some exclusive contracts, and new programs. Everyone wants to go for the highest bidder. Sometimes you just gotta settle for a Pollock. What is this? I'm sure this is great, but when people make fun of TNO minigames, this is the sort of stuff that they make. You know what I mean? But maybe he's a joke because he's a Rockefeller. I don't know what the hell they're on anymore. I don't know what's going on anymore. Mr. Republican, but what the viable alternatives, no middle ground. He's done a lot. He'll do more. Center is the place to be. Okay. He wants privatization. Oh, yeah. Okay. Ronald Reagan. Different force in the Republican Party. Actor turned conservative spokesman. Found his way to the limelight. Roosevelt, Eisenhower, Kaffer, all Democrats since Cleveland are responsible for bastardizing the American Republican, turning a constitutional federalism into a money-stealing, business-watching, freedom-hating instrument of neo-fascist tyranny in a world governed by authoritarianism. All this is punctuated with pithy jokes and a brilliant smile. Election day proves he's popular with the Republicans but conservative Democrats in the South. Blah, blah, blah. Reagan administration must provide different approaches, trickle-down economics, blah, blah, blah. Ronald Reagan, the actor. The Gripper. Final, the small government ideology. Okay, so in Ronald Reagan's going to be one of the worst paths ever. You know that's going to be the case. Casting call. Oh my god. Okay, you have to respect this. You know, look at this icon. Yeah, if they're actually like playing into the silliness, like I'm all for it. You know, this is hilarious. Hollywood made Ronald especially good at trading faces, taking a role that is so good, in fact, that Ronald Reagan sought his continuous impressions. Oh, that's cool. So like you like through his politicking, he like changes his face. That I love that analogy. That's actually really cool. What the hell? I know, right? Reagan presidency. They rust for me. Let's make America. Our conservative future or a liberal past. Battle of the bench. Super cop. Union of Friends. And no airhead actor right away. What? 10,000 cuts. Okay. Square reasoning. Blood. The fuck do you mean blood? What? Crime, punishment, etc. What is this? What is this icon? Oh my god. Oh, okay. So yeah, as stated, it's either you hurt people or you hurt people, or you are a two-faced, three-faced, five-faced. Okay. All right. Let's close these. Philip Hart. Senator Philip Hart of Michigan is long as the Liberal Senate crisis in the popular politics dominated the papers. He's a man who values government as a guarantor of societal well-being. It's for these reasons that in 1968, when Lyndon Johnson comes shopping for a candidate with his own caucus, Hart stood as a simple no-drama figure the rank and file could come to admire. His president seeks to address entrenched inequities through safe and slow reform, bringing the experts to help revive America's cities, restore American confidence in foreign policy, and restore national confidence. Philip Hart, as you know, has been in the game for years now, familiar with existing sound that will do well in navigating his part. But YIPPEE gives us the opportunity to refine his presidency further and explore his approach to power. That part of that includes a closer cabinet that faces new and old, includes a refurbished tree more in line with the level of policy given all presidents in this update. Let's take a look at this. I actually don't know much about the Hart presidency. Okay, third column. Okay, so you either carrying a working facade, the Second American Revolution, that's crazy. Education, no stomach left behind. Okay. Let freedom ring, the real world lesson for life. Keying veterans off our street, Eisenhower's blessing, sacred right, American athletics, open world. On ice, what is this? So like they combined forces to fuck with Japan? Okay. National testing standards, hatred on the road, judicial coup, integration front. Look at that. Running over Wallace. That's funny. It's actually such a good icon. Like you gotta, like, even if you don't agree with the direction, the art is amazing. The art that the TNO developers have put into this is amazing. And the way that the focus tree tells a story, even by the way that it's formatted, is really good. Steven Steele, what the heck? Voices on Inside, Industrial Anthem, and Who Are You? What is this? So, what is that? I don't understand any of this. Falcon money? No. Never. What is this? Chicken Hawks? Okay, this is youth employment. What? What do you mean? The child labor? What? No, that can't be real. What? If I don't win, big day for big government, new Americana. Okay. Now what is that? Bold friends, bad friends. Okay. Sam Yorty. How many more do I need to do before? Okay, good. Sorry. Sam Yorty's been impossible to avoid recent years. M dash, almost as if some nefarious influence were artificially boosting his presence. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. America's urban cores are plagued by riots. The nominally Democratic mayor of Los Angeles pleaded the country did not give in to the anarchy. Such a disruption was outside the agitators of some internal division. The Nebraskan-born former progressive was using the playbook deployed by Southern officials to describe federal mismanagement and defend the segregated practices. So Los Angeles is segregated under him? This shameless carnival barker routine is what gives the mayor shot at presidency. While his overall appear bears much in common with Wallace, Yorty's innovation is in sanitizing it. Instead of trying to defend overt segregation, Sam considers himself with social disruption and threats to the suburban dream. He believes in tidy streets, flower boxes, and well-armed police officers. He's a Republican, isn't he? No, he's not. I think he's a Democrat. Interesting. He comes to Washington with the promise to stop the madness of social movements from a mouth. John Yorty may prove to be as disinterested in the daily job of government, a job he farms out to others while he pursues fame celebrity. M dash. A passion he... Oh. Hold on. Pardon me. Gonna finish this quickly. So Sam Yorty is a grifter, and Sam Yorty Show. From Washington, D.C., the Yorty administration, starring Sam Yorty. You're invited to join Sammy and his guests as they bring government to the people. Circumventing all the bile the press is sure to spew and the tears his opponents are sure to cry. But act fast. The show is only to last 4 years, pending contract renewal with the American people. They'd surely accept with high public interest. This is awesome. Okay, like it's Ted Kennedy. Okay. It's fun. Yeah, you know, like if they're taking a silly approach, then take a silly approach. That's fine. This is the last one, I think. Yeah. Philip Burton. Let's say mixing most parasite most liberal causes, true advocates of environmental rise and massive extinction and welfare. The Congress of California. Burton is a quiet operator in short years of Washington. This hasn't deterred him from demanding a greater perch to speak from, having cynically tied himself to the various social movements surrounding the country. Burton is determined to call in as many favors as possible to come to the nation's big shot. Now's your chance to be a big shot. While he's crude and obnoxious personality, Philip Burton is the man who understands politics. He knows it's a game you can play at any age in a brutal blood sport, which is why a man like him isn't going to wait to build seniority. He's not going to wait to build cutting shitty deals and trading favors. If decorum didn't stop him from picking people up with the collar or throwing wads of cash to them to vote in Congress, he sure as hell won't stop President Burton. In short, Burton's a game of give and take. Now that he's taking the role of president, he seeks to take Washington from the entrenched. Having taken the power of presidency, he now seeks to get the spoils to the benefactors who sold him such a swanky office. Furmar Burton, look at Führer, or Philip Furmar, whatever. Walling, oh shit, okay. So this guy is a trap path. This guy is the biggest joke that you could pick, and how you get ending the impending war. Yeah, this guy's a trap path so that another person can come and fix it. TLDR. But I do need to get going, so we'll finish this here. From there, what happens next falls onto you, the player. Although he developed into much what YIPPEE has to offer in terms of new content for playable tags, new additions, and both internally and globally, will keep your game lively until the end date of January 77. Thanks for reading the diary. You may take this month as a test run of how we're looking to tease and release updates now that YIPPEE is our officially next stated update. Until release, you can expect further dives into what's shown off here from presidents to Führers. I hope you enjoy it. More to come. Stay tuned. Well, these are good dev diaries. While I am bitter about the approach, and I'll just have to like accept that, these mini games and art and stuff, like it's hilarious. Like they're having fun with it, and if the developers are having fun making this, then it's gonna be a fun time for everybody. So TNO 2.0 could be fun to play. It wouldn't be TNO 1.0, which I personally prefer. But TNO 2.0 seems like it could be something good. Again, not my cup of tea. Sucks that the old one's gone, but it doesn't have to be gone. You can support TNO Requiem or any other. You can just roll back the game too. Pull up a mod from the mod database when that Ropo was still around. Yeah, one thing I wish I saw more of is like how these different presidents would manage the politics with foreign nations. It seems like a lot of domestic stuff, but then again, that's the focus of the diary, so you can't get too mad about that. The Goldwater writing was crazy, and the nanny state with the belt, like that's actually a really good follow through, but it is really wild. Yeah, rest in peace. Minute of silence for Burgundy's removal. And you know that if Heydrich takes over Germany, that's how you get the resistance path. That's a hidden path or whatever. I'm gonna have to leave the stream now, but I'll do a minute of silence for Burgundy. Overall, good dev diary. Interested to see what's going. Might not be my cup of tea. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of subversion of expectations in some matter. Regardless, I hope that the TNO developers release YIPPEE soon in a state that's acceptable and well tested. And I might even make a video about old TNO, not to make like a dunk piece or whatever, like that my original Atlaropa may have been interpreted as, even though I do say that people need to chill out. But instead highlight what TNO America used to be for people who might not want to load up a save or whatever. But yeah, thank you very much everybody for watching. It was kind of a surprise that it got such a good turnout with a impromptu stream. Maybe I'll do more in the future, but appreciate your time, and I hope you guys have a good day. Goodbye.